Okay, I was jamming to that music there for a while. That's why, I'm happy that the camera cut that off. But everyone, welcome to another episode of the Asian Mint. Today, us three handsome folks, actually, just one of us here today. Uh, Maybe Ram. Nah, just kidding. Everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us on this Monday night. I really hope the start of your week has been amazing. I hope that you ate some delicious food today. I hope the heat didn't kill you like it did me. I must have drank like what gallons of water today. Anyway, that's not why you guys are tuning into the stream. Let me introduce to you Mr. Chris of Top Shot Daily. He is joining us today. Of course, Mr. Ram Cervantes is here with us too. Mr. Chris Heller, if you want to know his full name, he unfortunately is not single, by the way, despite the fact that he's incredibly handsome. He may or may not have told me to say that. However, I think that the better story about Chris I want to mention is Chris lives in Costa Rica. Costa Rica. So this isn't actually the first time I am talking to Chris. About a week ago, I did a little video with him. Chris, has that been posted yet? Not sure. Remains to be seen. But hey, he told me that he moved from America to Costa Rica, and right now he's chilling. He's raising his family there. He's doing some top shot work, and he's got the beach nearby. You go outside the house, you got the beach, just like a few steps away. So I think this guy's living the life, and in addition to the fact that again he's incredibly handsome. Mr. Chris also makes some great life decisions. Like right now, he decides to join the Asian Mint. Asian Mint. I think that is an amazing decision. Chris, thank you for joining us. How are you, buddy? How are things your side of the world? I'm sure it's a little more beachy over there. But thank you for taking the time to enlighten us and enlighten the community that's tuning in today.
Thanks for having me, guys. I think maybe I should just hang up now after that introduction. I think it's all downhill from here.
Probably the peak of this whole thing.
That's it. I don't know how I'm gonna top that.
Well, I think that when you start dropping your top shot knowledge, you're absolutely gonna top that. But before we get into that, Chris, give us a brief overview of yourself, how you got into Top Shot, like how you're approaching Top Shot, like how are you, vibing with this new NFT platform that seems to be taking over the world, or at least in our perspective, it is.
Yeah, our world, which is pretty amazing. Just on the simplest level, the idea that I didn't even know what an NFT was when this year started, and now it's 7 a.m. and I'm on the phone on a live stream with the other side of the world talking about this thing is a pretty amazing timeline when you think of it, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I moved to Costa Rica from New York. I'm a New York guy, basically most of my life, and was living in Brooklyn with my family for the last 4 years after most of my adult life in Manhattan before that. And my wife and I, we have two small boys, almost 7 and just 4 years old. And we always knew that we wanted to live abroad with our family while the kids were still young. At some point, we didn't know where that would be or when that would happen. Maybe it would even be Manila. Who the hell knows, right? And then, last March when, the world kind of turned on its head and our boys started doing remote learning, I just, one day I was like, let's do next school year on a beach somewhere, right? Like, let's just make this happen now. And we started doing some research, quickly landed on Costa Rica as an option, even though we had never been here before, either one of us. But I had a friend who had lived here for a few years back in the day with his family. We know people who have been through here. It's just, it's a very nice, simple place to live or visit. And
Right.
we just landed on, all right, this is our spot. And did some research. And then, Americans weren't allowed anywhere. So we thought our plans were foiled until magically, like mid-August, Costa Rica announced like these 6 states from America are allowed to come into our borders. New York was one of them. And then 2 months later, we were here. And we had committed to 1 school year. We got here in October and our kids just jumped into school, which is 2 minutes away from my house. We signed a lease through July to match the school year. And we've already decided to re-up, one more.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, we did.
Things change when you start living by the water, right? And you start feeling that serenity.
This is what I look at every day. That's my view.
Oh man, that looks good. Looks like
I'm
it's
not-
here, Navs. Well, not in Manila, obviously, but maybe in the beach side somewhere here in the
Right.
Philippines.
Maybe. I want to take this opportunity to say what's up to our guys, Kevin Atienza, Dijo, and YouTube, and Ron, of course. He just Googled Costa Rica and he wants to go. So Chris, you're turning Ron into a believer. And we got a Facebook user here who said
Bring it
yo,
on.
but I can't read the name. So yo, hey, what's up? Thanks for joining us too. Thank you to everyone for joining us
Yes.
again. So Chris, you don't know this yet, but years from now, you're going to get a call from a guy named Naveen Gaglani you spoke 2 years ago who complimented your incredible handsomeness, asking you to help out, a brown fellow from the Philippines trying to move to Costa Rica too. You're going to get plus points with my fiance for that too. She's been like asking me like to move by the beach. So I'm going to like hit you
Right.
up soon for sure. But before we get to that point, I still have to have enough retirement money. And one way to do that is by Top Shot, right? So let's
Right.
get the discussion to Top Shot. And by the way, if anyone is saving up on Top Shot moments for their retirement plan, let us know too. You are not alone. Ram, you were passionate about the topic of minus EV packs the other day, and of course, it's a hot topic of debate in the little but growing Top Shot world, which is basically this is good long term, especially if you invest in the Top Shot marketplace when prices were up and you've seen your investments go down. So quickly, Ram, let us know why you think that this latest development is actually good for Top Shot. And Chris, chime in on your thoughts after that as well.
Yeah, sure. So I know that there are a lot of people have different opinions about this one, right? And you guys can always check out our page, Twitter. You can find out on, of course, Top Shot today to find out some of the great insights that you can get from everyone around the world. And I think that, and maybe it's just me. I know some people are saying that I'm a little bit over the top, but I think that most people who really believe in the platform long term, they understand that this should be good long term. Why? Because, and again, there's this great article that I got to share with Top Shot Philippines, read by Minted Moments, and I think Chris, Top Shot today also shared that, if I'm not
We did.
mistaken,
Definitely.
where we're trying to find out how we can get rid of these rent seekers, these people who are in just to flip. And I know a lot of people, they're like, hey, I'm an investor here. I deserve to earn money. But it's like, guys, Top Shot doesn't owe you profits. It's not like it was created for you to be able to get your profits, right? They always say that they're designed for collectors. And I think that for guys like Naveen, myself, and Chris, we enjoy collecting moments. Yes, of course, we love getting that high EV. You pull a pack, you get a LeBron. Of course, that's what we want too. But if that's what everyone got every time, how sustainable do you think that is? And that's why I want to really turn this over to Chris, right? I know that these guys, especially the people in the Philippines, are probably tired of hearing my opinion, trying to stand on my soapbox here, telling people why they shouldn't be so mad. But from your perspective, do you think this is really good long term, or has it impacted the market so negatively right now that it's kind of hard to see that recovering until playoffs?
Yeah, wait, before we get there too, Chris, I also want you to tell us about Top Shot today, just so people know where you're coming from too and where your experience is based from.
Right. So, it's obvious to get carried away with the move from Brooklyn to Costa Rica and just forget about everything else. But so when living here, mid-January, I learned about NFTs and Top Shot today simultaneously, right? Through Jonathan Bale's tweet, who I follow. That was a tipping point in the mass adoption, or the early adoption rather, of Top Shot today. And I was hooked immediately I understood the concept of NFT and the fact that it was manifesting itself in the NBA, right? Something I've wanted since I was 12 years old, a stock market for athletes. I was like, oh my God, it was like blowing my mind. And I quickly dove in as an investor first. And after a couple of weeks of that first frenzied market after Bale's tweet, I then was like, you know what? I feel like I need to be in this space somehow, like, pickaxes and shovels of this forthcoming gold rush here. And, I have a background in digital marketing. I'm comfortable as a communicator and via audio, video, writing, whatever. And I thought a media brand entity was the way to approach this space. So I quickly came up with Top Shot today, got a team of freelancers together, Most who are still with me now, somebody to handle social and somebody to build my website and somebody to be my graphic designer and somebody to deal with the video editing and so on. And a few months later, we were live and here we are. And now we are really focused on two core things. And this is such an early space and we'll have to pivot, I'm sure, multiple times. But right now we are focused on curating and creating content. And when I say curating, topshottoday.com, our home-based website, is a curation of all the content from around the Top Shot space. As Ram mentioned before, like we just had Minted Moment is on there, but then also there's an article from the New York Times, and there's an article, and there's a video from Jen Sudo. It's organizing all of the great content that's out there, because right now I think when the masses arrive here, right, we know that they're not here yet. It's how do they navigate through all the conversations on Twitter, because there's a lot of it, right? And they get sent to a live Twitch stream here, or they get sent to an article or a YouTube video or wherever, right? I thought this would be a way, as you're showing right now, a nice, clean way to kind of organize all of the content in the space. So if you're new and you're trying to really find out what's going on, you could say, hey, I want to watch some videos on what's going on here. And you go to the videos tab and you just see video content from the last few months about the space. So that's how we got there with that. And then as far as original content goes, we try to differentiate a little bit, as you'll see our first original programming. And this all lives on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/TopShotToday, where, there'll be the normal little videos from me chiming in on what's going on in the market. But our first original program is Top Shot Shot Clock, which I recorded with Naveen, which will probably be out tomorrow, and potentially today in my life, because it's 7:00 in the morning here, tomorrow for people on your side of the world. And that is, we wanted to create content that is more personality driven and entertainment focused, rather than analytical and market dynamic focused, because I'm not a market guy. There are people in the space doing that are just better at it than I. And a lot of that content seemed, similar to me. So I thought we would approach it from a different angle, something light and fresh and fun, and a way to understand and learn about the people in the space, but through a fun game type of back and forth atmosphere. So we're going to have some more shows along the lines of that, where it's really about the people and entertainment value, inside the NBA, PTI, rather than just like, here are your SportsCenter highlight list, and so far so good. But like I said, who knows what that looks like 3 months, 6 months from now, because this thing is a fast moving train and we're just trying to keep up.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to brag, which is exactly what people say when they want to brag. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But according to Chris, I did pretty well with the Top Shot clock. Okay. Like he was like, listen, we're going to try to make the answers, before 24 seconds. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, I got a clock right here. I got to follow that. So I just want to put it out there. If you guys want to check out the video coming out soon, maybe get to 1 million views or something, I can wish. But Chris,
we don't want to tell them too much, because we got to get them. We got to get them on the YouTube channel with the views.
Right. Yeah. So Chris, I'm curious. Did you purchase a throwdown pack or any pack recently? And what are your thoughts about securing some packs? And unlike the past few months, you might actually come out below how much you paid for the pack.
I did get a throwdown pack. I haven't opened it yet. I probably will, though. It's just something that I'm not in a rush to do. Actually, I have some common packs too. If they're offering a pack, I'm going to try to get it, pretty much. But I do agree with Ram in terms of the negative EV right now, like that being good for the community at large. I'm on the same page there. So your fans from the Philippines are probably going to hear just the same old story, and it ties into, I guess, the next thing to talk about. It's just, and you kind of hit on this, Ram. It's the idea that people expect for the powers that be running this to look out for them as investors. It's, and this is against saying this out loud goes against my New York progressive blood, right? Because I'm a progressive liberal person, but I'm always like thinking about this, like, who are you complaining to? You're making you're an adult potentially making an investment speculative decision. Like, it's not up to them to like make you money. You have to, if you mistimed it, that's unfortunate. But if you believe in the thing that you're investing in, then hold on for the ride and like trust that 3 months from now, 2 years from now, it's going to work out. Like, you don't make an investment in, like, Bitcoin is dipping right now, and you don't hear people in the streets screaming for Satoshi, hey, fix the whole model so I can make money today. It's just, it doesn't make sense. So I think people need to like take control of their own investment strategy and life and look at your, like, did you overextend because you got excited? Yeah, probably a lot of people did. Then you know what? Like, you got to figure your shit out and look at your life and your finances and say, how much am I willing to lose and leave in this, or cut your losses and get out now. And maybe you revisit it in a year when everything's a little more stable. But yeah, the idea that people should just be able to buy something for $9 or $14 and just magically turn it into 30 or 300 is ridiculous. It just doesn't make sense for anything to survive anywhere in the world, in any marketplace.
Absolutely, yeah. And if we had such a thing in the world where you were guaranteed to make money, then a lot more people would be happy, right? People would be complaining and whining less. But those things only exist in fairy tales. We don't have like trees that money doesn't grow on trees, basically, right? You know how the saying goes.
Yeah.
But Chris, and I want to get Ram's perspective on this too. When people ask me like, what should I do with my moments? The prices have been going down, and I always tell them, just think 2 years from now instead of 2 months from now. Think 5 years from now rather than 5 months from now. For instance, a few weeks ago, I purchased a couple of the LaMelo first basket moments. They were at about $60, and recently they went down to like 55, 54. It's been fluctuating because of the common backdrops. But I'm not thinking, oh crap, my LaMelo moment, I just lost $5. I'm thinking, oh crap, in 10 years, how much will LaMelo's first basket be worth in this digital platform that in theory should take over, or not should like advance what was already started by the physical card trading world. So Ram and Chris, do you also believe in that a lot of the moments we have now will accelerate in value once the years go by? And I also want to get to the next topic here so we can segue to that, which is the decline in market. We've seen the market cap go down. We've seen the people's investments kind of locked up, maybe because some can't withdraw yet. But so that's the two questions I want to ask you guys right now. Number one is, how confident are you all that the moments we all have now in the present will increase in value? And number two, what will fix the decline in market in terms of sales and value?
Ram, do you want to go first, or you want me to go?
Sure, you can go.
So it's interesting you bring up that LaMelo moment, because I'm haven't been such an active buyer in the last couple of months, right? Like I when I got in January, like had a strategy, I went and executed it, and it was very simply great players, series 1, and hold, right? That's basically my thing. And then in series 2, I'm more like, let's see if I can flip some of these and build my bankroll, which has not worked out because I mistimed it. However, I did in the last week buy 8 of those LaMelo moments at $50 something, because it's the same thinking that you have. Like, this guy has a chance to be that top tier of NBA talent, and in 5-10 long term, it's
Chris,
a rookie.
can I tell you something real quick? I think you and I can find confidence in the fact that SportsCenter will take any reason to post a LaMelo highlight on their social media. Like, I see it and I'm like, come on, you guys are doing this because his last name is Ball. But the Top Shot side of me is like, yeah, let's go, keep it, let's go.
Well,
sorry, go on.
His brand is strong, but he also happens to be a very unique talent that can elevate to that level that you need. And this ties in directly to your question of like, will all moments accelerate at some point? And no, the answer is, like I just said, my strategy from day one was great player, and that's first and foremost. I think a lot of the moments, the majority of the moments, were overpriced in the bull runs of early January and February, whereas your Terry Rozier, who's a solid player, and people might be psyched to own the moment. I don't invest in players like that because 10, 20 years from now, he's not going to have that much of a legacy. We're not really going to look back and think about his career that much. Sorry to say, it's just the truth. Like, I want guys who are going to ultimately have a shot or be in the pantheon at the high end, right? Or at the very least, have a real shot at the Hall of Fame. And like that's where I'm investing my early in this early ecosystem here. Like that's where my money has mostly gone. If you look at my account, and everyone, it's on the blockchain, it's at C Heller. You can check out the type of players that I invest in, and those are the guys that will always, I think, have value, right? I always try to, like, people always ask me, how should I get started if I only have a few $100 right now, and my answer is always get some superstars and just use those as your blue chips. Like, look at it as a stock portfolio, and you want X amount of percent, and that's your individual decision, 40, 50, 60% blue chips, LeBron, Steph, even Zion, Luka, those are a little less blue chippy, but you want those guys to be the backbone, because that ultimately, if this platform works, and I think we all believe it will, and if you're investing, you should believe it will as well, those guys, it'll be almost impossible for them to go down in value. Whereas the Terry Roziers of the world, it's not impossible. Even if this thing works, something of his is probably not worth $500. No matter what day and age we're in, it's just probably not going to happen.
How about a guy like Jaylen Brown? Where would you fit him in that category?
I have a couple Jaylen Browns. I think he has a chance to be a regular all-star. The difference between a Jaylen Brown and like a Steph is I'd be willing to sell Jaylen Brown in the next bull run, right? For 4x what I paid for him.
So the Jaylen Browns, the Chris Middletons, guys like that.
Yes, like those guys, I don't mind buying, because I think they will rise while they're in their playing career if the platform continues to rise. But I'm not, like LeBron's, the ones that I own, you'll have to, pry from my cold dead hands here, right? And similarly with Steph, and probably Zion's first moment will be very tough, and Luka's first moment very tough to get out of my collection. But my Bradley Beal and Ben Simmons and Jaylen Brown, like I'm willing to listen to what the market says, to be like, all right, it might be time for me to take some money off the table, and those I'd be willing to let go, right? So I think you have to, and that's like my market philosophy. I'm not saying it's the right one for everybody, but that's where I kind of put my guys into tiers and buckets. Like, all right, hold forever, hold tightly, but like a little looser grip.
Yeah, and the best part about that too is, in any season you could get a guy like a Jaylen Brown who becomes like an all-star to a potential superstar. These leaps happen, right? I'll give you an example. Donovan Mitchell. Before this season, you're thinking, okay, he's a nice player, really solid guy, plays for a nice team, and suddenly you're the number one seed, maybe make the conference finals, the NBA finals. And you're like, oh, this guy I have just turned from like an all-star to potential superstar, can hold long-term. So there's like a lot of ways you can go about it, which is one of the things Ram likes to preach. So Ram, tell us more about your thoughts.
I really, really like that analogy you made, because I used to be a fund manager. So when you're trying to say that it's kind of like stocks, I'm thinking, yes, that's exactly how you might want to think about it. Because as you mentioned, you have these real superstars, right? The Stephs, the LeBrons, that you can think of as your Facebooks, your Apples, things that if you're probably investing in the stock market, you think that you should have those. It feels like it's kind of weird if you're invested and you're not at least somehow exposed to that. And then you have guys like Luka, who, well, I guess at this point, he's like a Tesla where, yeah, he's high growth, but at the same time, you're kind of confident that he's going to stay there. At the same time, you have a lot of these rookie moments where you never know. Like maybe one of these guys really balls out at some point. Some people are like Tyrese Maxey fans who, who knows, 10 years from now, maybe they're great. And maybe pulling it back to what Naveen was saying about LaMelo, a lot of people are thinking, I don't know, would I want to spend this much on LaMelo? But then assuming that he does have that track to become the next LeBron or Steph Curry level player. Not saying that he will be, but if he gets there, are you really going to complain about having one of his first moments on something like this new technology, which is really great? And if you kind of scale it back, would you be kind of pissed off if, oh, I spent some money on a Steph Curry rookie card? What a pity that I'm here, right? It seems like it's funny now because obviously you wouldn't be, but that's how some people are kind of acting. The thing for me that's
Right.
going to really maybe determine how much money you're going to get if ever you're looking at it as an investment is really the supply. I think that's the bigger question mark because a LaMelo moment is great, but if at some point Top Shot decides to just flood the market with LaMelos, then of course that's a different conversation because the economics change a bit. If at some point the platform decides to just flood the market with all the superstars, then you're going to expect there to be a bit of a backlash, right? A lot of people might think that maybe it's not worth as much. But essentially, again, we're at the ground floor of this new technology, right? A lot of people, they're kind of pissed off. I wish I was there during S1. But then you're in S2, it's not that bad. If you really think that this is going to be a thing, by the time we're in season 10, I think a lot of people are going to be jealous of, man, why didn't my pops get there like 10 years ago? And that's exactly what I think is going to happen when Naveen starts raising his child. And Naveen thanks me because I introduced him to Top Shot and he's probably going to pay for his kid's tuition with the moments that he got from this season. I am pretty confident about that. So, Naveen, you're welcome.
Ram, I'm using your advice to get me to Costa Rica. Before we move on, I want to acknowledge some commenters who have joined us tonight. Joven Resurrection says, agree, superstars and rising stars should be the backbone of your collection. I'm sure all three of us agree with that. Mr. Ralph Noriega says, got two Mr. I got that right. Correct. Sorry about that if I didn't. Got 2 moments of LaMelo from PAX. I mean, come on, that's amazing. That's really good. Mr. DGO, thank you for joining us again. LeBron, Bitcoin, Luca, Ethereum, and LaMelo. I'm sorry, I'm
That's
not familiar with
Cardano.
this. Yes, there you go. Mr. Miguel Cuevas, thanks for joining us. Mr. Joseph Tiempo, thank you for joining us. And there's a question for you here, Chris. Mr. Ed Antig, nice to see you again, sir. There's a question for you here, Chris, and I want you to answer this. Who do you think are the more underrated players in Top Shot? So we'll get to that before we get to the next topic. Ram, feel free to answer this as well. Chris, you can go first.
So, yeah. So my first gut is that there are no underrated players, right? Like we the NBA is too popular and powerful. We know, and this is also what I love about investing in the NBA, right? Like we know who's great, pretty much, right? So where that leads me for undervalued moments is again the great players, but in different spots, right? Like so, I understand a lot of people can't afford Series 1 James Harden right now, right? But if you look at Series 2, that little 7,500 set, right? There's about 10 moments of players with a 7,500 serial count in Series 2, and it's LeBron, KD, Steph, Kawhi, Trey Young, Giannis. It's like the best of the best.
Dame too, yeah.
Dame's in there as well, and it's the best of the best, pretty much. And out of 7,500 is going to look so incredibly rare down the line, right? So I think those are moments, and even right now the 15,000s, because I think we're very close to commons being 50,000, 100,000 counts. So 15,000s are going to look incredibly rare too. So it's not an underrated player. It's again, go back to the superstars and find serial counts, find where there's a little more scarcity within that top tier of talent. And that, to compare that to, let's say, rookies, right? I think rookies as a whole are overrated. And people always say, hey, I want rookies. When you look back at NBA history, there are very few rookies each year that actually go on to have all-star type careers, right? So we're already in a speculative environment. So speculating another notch down to think that Keldon Johnson or Jackson, or Killian Hayes or whomever are going to be like, oh, I think they might be good one day. It's just that seems like a poor bet to me when you already have Carmelo, Chris Paul, guys who are going to be in the Hall of Fame, even a Dwight Howard, right? Like guys who when you're comparing, and those prices, if you look, are fairly comparable. Like Series 1s even of first moments of these guys who are going to be Hall of Famers versus Series 2, Denny Ajva, and like the prices are, or even Patrick Williams, who's probably going to be a pretty good player, but is he going to be? He's not going to be Carmelo Anthony, right? Like, I think you have to like look at opportunity cost when you talk about rookies and trying to like speculate on who's going to be good players, because basketball really tells us who's already great. Like we know. So the short answer after all that is find the superstars that are undervalued rather than looking for underrated players who might turn into something great.
Chris, I'm hearing you, and it's just there are a lot of market terms here that I'm really enjoying, because in the market they say that the market discounts everything, the price discounts everything. By that, what we mean is that there's so many people on this platform that it's hard to find someone that's really underrated, because there are so many other NBA fans here that are probably gonna buy it up if they see that there's any value. They're probably on live token looking to snipe someone as soon as they can if they see that market mispricing, let's call it that. And yes, you might want to take a bet on a rookie, but as you've said, Chris, you're taking that gamble on something that's already speculative. So if you're gonna come crying to them that, hey, I overpaid for this thing that has 2 badges and this guy turned out to be a flop, whose fault is that really? Like, for example, I like Tyrese Halliburton. I think that he's probably going to be a pretty good player, and of course he's not a rookie of the year candidate, but maybe he ends up becoming someone good. Would I overpay to get his moment at a good serial? I'm not that sure. But when you have a guy like, for example, Chris Paul, who's someone who a lot of people may like him, may hate him, but for me, if that guy can take the Suns to the finals, I think that's someone who I would rather have in my portfolio, because there's a lot of risk that you're taking on being on this platform. So there are some people who, and this may be a good strategy for some people. If you take bets on these superstars who may be a little bit closer to the twilight of their career, you're going to have that bump. And we saw that kind of bump with the Marcus Aldridge's sudden retirement, right? There are going to be other players who, when they decide to call it a career, and it's time for everyone, all of their fans, to come into the platform to try to get that last bit of memorabilia, they're gonna try to look for these guys. So whether it's a Melo, Chris Paul, someone else who's underrated. I'm not a big fan of Dwight, but Dwight does have his fans. Those might be the moments that are probably going to have a better EV. Let's bring it back there. Expected value. Because the odds of them being Hall of Fame superstars is set in stone. It's just when are they going to retire, as compared to having a guy like, again, a Maxi or a Halliburton, or the guy that I like bullying about the throwdown packs, a Caleb Martin. I don't know how many people are going to take a bet on him, but I'd rather spend $7 to $10 on Chris Paul than Caleb Martin.
Hey, bro, you don't think Caleb Martin is gonna be the next Chris Paul? Right? Nah, of course not.
I think Caleb Martin's going to be the next Robin Lopez.
I don't think they play the same position, but I get what you're
I get
saying. But I have something to share relative to what you both said, because when I opened my throwdown pack, I got a James Wiseman. Right now, I will admit that the serial was the saving grace, because I got I think it was 91 out of 1,800. That was our first stream, Ram. Feels like so long ago now, but my reason for saying that is because my first reaction was, oh wow, James Wiseman. He was the number 2 overall pick in the draft. He was the first big man taken, and he's playing for Golden State. But easily 1 year from now, I could be saying, oh, Wiseman sucked as a rookie. Wiseman is maybe like a Kwame Brown type of guy. You think he's got all these athletic prowess, and he ends up not being great. Or he might be traded by Golden State with their picks if they want to land like another star player. So anything can happen, right? Like a guy like Wiseman can go from, blossoming with potential because he's in this like big market team to playing in cold Minnesota a few years from now. So I think there's a lot of risk with rookies that you two really brought up. And a lot of our commenters are saying the same thing too. I also want to give a shout out to Mr. Janu Hardasani. Belated happy birthday, Janu. I hope it was an amazing weekend for you. John, who's always active in our Top Shot Philippine chats. He is a great guy. I know him personally. Also, the best commissioner you can ask for a fantasy league. So, what's up, Janu? I hope you had a great weekend. There's another comment here. Rookies are overrated. I totally agree. If you're collecting rookies, the risk factor is too high. And that's a great point because, Chris, your analysis was spot on. Like, there's a rookie draft class. You get like 50 to 60 guys drafted every year. And based from my experience covering the NBA too, out of those 60 guys, you get two or three who become all timers, right? And then you got maybe
If
like,
you're lucky.
yeah, maybe you get like 5 to 8 guys who become all stars, and the rest are like role players, or they're out of the league, or they're playing in China, or they're playing in the Philippine Basketball Association as imports, right? Um, so let's go on to the next topic too, which is somehow related to that because Dapper has been active in showcase challenges recently. And a lot of the rookies we talk about, like you, Ram, you mentioned Tyrese, he was one of the certified ballers who was not a requirement, but someone you could use in the last challenge that went on for nearly a month. And as someone who took part in that challenge, can I just say that the whole like for like thing every day was such a grind. And right now, of course, we're in another showcase quest with the reward is a Ben Simmons. So I want to ask both of you, what are your thoughts about the challenges Dapper has been putting up? They've been doing challenges really since they started the whole platform. And do you guys think that challenges are here to stay? Should they make some changes to it? Like, what kind of challenges would you all want to see in the future?
So the showcase challenges, I like the in theory, I like them for the platform, right? I think they're good for the community, and it gives people something to be excited about, and people who may not be able to afford the challenges maybe an easier path to get them, right? Personally, as a collector, like I did not do the first showcase challenge. It just seemed like I just didn't want to, take the time and energy it took to kind of put that together, really. And then once I saw everybody asking for likes, I didn't want to be one of those guys either, right? I just didn't want to have to compete with everyone. I would have loved one of the free hollow icon packs that they got, but it just wasn't basically worth my energy. But I still appreciate Dapper trying to do things to build community and get people involved and excited and active, because that's what they should be doing, right? Like, treat the people that if you're not going to go out and market yet, you should be just doing as much as you can for the people who are already inside of your ecosystem here. The recent one, the Ben Simmons one, I've done a couple challenges with a friend, right? And they live in his account. We did the Steph MGLE challenge, and we did the Seeing Stars challenge. So once I saw the requirements for this one, with I have a couple hundred moments, plus I know that he's holding all the Seeing Stars, so I'm like, oh, just do this because we have it already. We don't have to go out and buy anything and spend money to complete this challenge. So that one we did because it was easy. But challenges as a whole, I've always thought, for most, they're probably not for most people, right? Like if it's, I think people probably reach to complete the challenges to they just want that reward and they just want to feel accomplished. If you're going to tie all that money up for a week or 3 weeks, as it was earlier, a couple months ago, the challenges went on forever. I think you'll be, handcuffing yourself in terms of your ability to take advantage of what may happen in the market. So unless you have the disposable income to let sit over here and really value the reward like I did for the Steph Rare, then it's not worth it. Challenges are usually not worth it. Showcase challenges, again, they're a different story. But overall, I like anything Dapper does to get the community excited and involved and active.
It's also worth mentioning that the showcase challenge led to $20 for at least 20 likes, which Dapper credited to the accounts, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But Ram, you did the showcase challenge too. I believe you got a couple of hundred likes. And are you also attempting to complete the showcase quest?
Yeah, so I got like 100 likes, which is probably 4,000 below Naveen's, who was able to get that hollow pack. If you guys didn't get to see our last stream, but the thing is that I enjoy it for the same reason that Chris mentioned, right? It builds the community, and maybe even more than that, it adds that extra little utility to your moments. And that's something that a lot of people have been clamoring for. Why am I getting these moments? What's the point of me holding them long term? And for some people who, like me, for example, I barely sell my moments. This is positive for me because other than waiting for the hardcore game, which I don't know when it's going to come out, this is another thing that kind of engages me a bit. I can look through my collection, put in the moments that I feel are going to best not only meet the requirements, but still look like a good showcase somehow. And if it gets me an extra moment, that's great. The moment's probably not going to be too fancy, too special, not like the other challenges, because obviously it's a lot more accessible. But maybe that's the whole point. It's giving the earlier users, those who have decided to have a relatively diverse or broad collection, to give them that opportunity to, hey, here's a little reward. It's probably not going to cost you much to complete the challenge. In fact, there's a good chance that you probably have all the moments required. And if not, it's going to raise the floor a little bit. I know that the last time we had a stream, we were talking about how surprisingly some people had difficulty getting that point guard assist. Surprisingly, not a lot of people had that in their collection, and that kind of raised the floor for point guard assists from $2 to $3 to about 6 to 7 at some point. And I don't know. There are a lot of people who maybe they're going to say, I don't really need to do the showcase challenges. It's too much work for me. But for those of you who are holding and are looking for your exit, this is an exit. For those of you who are looking to collect, this is a little bit of an extra kick saying, hey, good job having this broad spectrum of moments. Here's your reward.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And there's something though I want to kind of go back to because Ram, while you were speaking, it sparked an idea in my head. We talked about how EV negative packs are, of course, detrimental to flippers. Thank God, because we know we need some more detrimental to flipper kind of stuff going on around here. But overall, how do you think people who purchase packs and don't see a profit will how will that motivate them to invest more in the marketplace, and in result how will those extra investments in the marketplace help people like us who might have invested in the peak in the bull run? How does that help us see the prices of what we invested go back to where they were, or maybe potentially even surpass that? Ram, I know you're passionate about this, so feel free to start.
Sure. Well, for me, honestly, the thing is that for those of you who may be using it as a lottery, and me and myself, that's what I use it for, right? The packs are a lottery. If I get to pull something good, then I'm really happy. If not, I'm okay with keeping it. Some people don't have that mindset and they undercut, they try to sell it as soon as possible. But the thing is that the more EV negative packs there are, or at least when you change the behavior, the mindset of people from, oh, okay, I can just keep throwing in money in these packs and at worst, I'm going to make a little money, to
Yeah.
wait, maybe I shouldn't be throwing money in this platform. Maybe I should just straight up buy these moments that I actually want. I think that's going to be positive. There are a lot of people who out there who, for example, the reason I don't know if anyone knows this, but the reason I actually got on Top Shot is because I heard the podcast of Kevin O'Connor and Chris Vernon. I heard them talk about Top Shot, and I was like, okay, what's this? And Chris Vernon is a huge Grizzlies fan, obviously. I might not care about the Grizzlies. I might not be looking at holding some of the Grizzlies moments. But if I sell on the marketplace, there are going to be Grizzlies fans who are going to pick it up.
Right.
Someone's going to want that Xavier Tillman moment. And I think that really balances things out, where you go from people just like throwing these blind shots in the dark, trying to get that lottery ticket. Some people still will. But in general, I think what's going to happen is that those people who have a limited budget, they're going to stop buying packs and they're going to start looking for the moments they really want. And I think
but
that's
how
going to be positive for more people.
But how does that stop the economically illiterate people, like those who purchased the throwdown packs and decided, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna list the moments, I'm gonna cut my losses and take like a 50% discount on my initial investment?
You want to know what happens to them? Hello. Hi,
My kids are
Hello,
on the
children.
radio.
kiddos.
Yeah, say hi.
They're adorable.
Yeah, so cute. Hi, guys. Hope
They're
you're
on the,
enjoying Costa Rica.
these guys are on the other side of the world. You know that it's like 10 o'clock at night where they are. And these guys
Yeah.
are just
Feel
starting
free
their
to
career.
visit us.
They're going to school right now.
Uh,
We're gonna go visit
Oh,
they're
them.
okay.
adorable.
There's only three people.
It's okay. Go have a good day. I love
Why
you.
is there only three people?
Because that's who's talking today. Have a good day. Go, mommy. Gotta take you to school. Sorry.
Adorable. No, it's
All
okay.
right,
Love
yeah.
kids. So what was I saying? How does it affect them? How will it stop them? Honestly, it's a question of budget. At some point, these guys are gonna run out of cash. How many times can you buy $150 pack and sell it for what? $70? How many times can you do that? Unless you're some whale who, for some reason, doesn't understand economics, which is very unlikely, right? You're gonna run out of cash at some point, or you're gonna find an investment that's going to be more suited to you. And there are going to be a lot of people who are going to look at these packs, even when Dapper kind of adjusts the pricing and you go from losing 30% to only losing 10%. Some people would rather go on a different platform or maybe invest in a crypto instead, and they like that risk reward profile a lot better. So my hope is that these flippers kind of realize that at some point and say, wait, Top Shot, I'm not a big NBA fan. I was in it for the money. Now it's time for me to kind of back away. And you start getting more people on the platform. That ratio of I'm going to buy moments in the market, I'm going to sell moments in the market, rather than having so many people who's just on the platform looking to sell.
Chris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't feel bad for people who buy a pack and then don't make money from it right away. Right? Like it's the same thing. When I was a baseball card collector, when I was 10 years old and walked into my local store and got a couple packs and was all psyched to eat the gum and hoped I got a Ken Griffey Jr. but more than likely I got a Mike Greenwell. Like those. That's the game, right? Like you said, but before Ram, like you buy packs for the lottery aspect, and guess what? Most people don't win the fucking lottery, right? Like you gotta get really lucky to pull that one, and it just doesn't happen. So, I don't feel bad for those people, and if those are the people, back to your original question, I think, Naveen. I don't think if those people decide, hey, I'm not going to buy packs, I'm going to put that money into the market. I don't think that those are probably that's not where this market, goes back and gets that next boom. I don't think it's from those types of purchasers and purchases.
All right, yeah. All right. So another important topic that I think we should discuss was a change recently we noticed in our Top Shot profiles, which was there are now Dapper Dollars, basically non-withdrawable cash for in-platform use. Ram, Mr. Kid Cash Money, do you think by introducing Dapper Dollars, money that people can't withdraw, especially if they are already um, able to withdraw, they have access, do you think this will encourage users to invest more and thus increase the market cap of Top Shot?
For me, the reason why they're doing this is actually you can see it there, right? That it's for promotional material or other reasons. I have a couple of theories of why, right? Like they could use it just like what they did for this showcase quest, where or showcase challenge, where you could get some credits for doing something that kind of engages the community. At some point, maybe they're going to make that a more frequent thing. Maybe there are certain rewards that you're going to get if you're holding certain moments or if you have a certain rank, and those things are fine. The thing is that some people, I've read the Twitter on it, some people are complaining, why would you add these dollars that you can't withdraw? Doesn't that kind of cement the fact that people think you can't withdraw already, and now you're making it clear that you can't withdraw? And I think they don't make that distinction, right? That the money that's in these quote unquote, we call them Dapper Dollars, this kind of wallet, they're only things that you're going to get not when you load like a normal cash in. It's going to be something that you earn from some kind of showcase, some kind of promo. Or I'm not saying people should complain, but there's a chance that maybe you get these Dapper Dollars when you have a complaint that's very valid. Everyone, please don't randomly complain to Top Shot. It's going to make it worse for everyone else with legitimate complaints. And the reason why I am pretty positive on it is that I don't want to get too much in the economics of it, but it's inflationary. What it means is that you're basically trying to put some more money into the system, and because you've closed that ecosystem, you've required these Dapper Dollars to be spent in Top Shot, it means they have no choice but to spend it on packs or to spend it in the marketplace. And the hope, for me at least, is that that raises the prices up. So far, to me, they've done a couple of things that are going to help raise the prices long term. They have tried to find ways to kind of remove some of the flippers, and they have found a way to maybe add something that's a bit inflationary, to have like a, some people are calling it like a stimulus package for Top Shot. The only concern that I have again is on the supply side, because as long as you have all of these moments coming in on a weekly basis, it's probably going to keep some moments depressed. And honestly, I'm okay with that, because some of these moments should be easily accessible to the broader market. When they go to playoffs, which we're going to talk about soon, you know that they're going to want people to come in the platform. You want them to actually experience what it's like to be on Top Shot and get the whole thing, getting packs, buying from the marketplace. They want that. And it's kind of disappointing if I'm a new user. This is the first time I'm hearing about Top Shot. And remember, during the peak, during that Feb, what was the cheapest moment? It was what, 20, 30 bucks at some point for some moments. And that's not even a star player. It's not, these are like role players. These are the Robin Lopez's or the Caleb Marins or whoever you want to call them. These were the guys that cost that much, and that was
Ish
a
Smith.
tough fella. Ish Smith, imagine that. Like you're spending 30 bucks to get Ish Smith. And now you can spend $10 to get, like, sometimes in live token you could get like a Steph Curry for that kind of price. You could get a Jalen Brown for that kind of price. And when you're going to expand to a global market during playoffs, you're going to need that kind of experience, that user experience, to keep people on the platform.
Yeah, for sure. Chris, do you agree?
So I definitely agree with the last point that, you know, we need the $1 moments and the $2 moments, and we need moments that are accessible to new users for sure. As far as the original question of the you know, the Dapper Dollars, listen, this is a startup, right? And we're very early, so I like the idea of Dapper trying stuff, right? Like Dapper Dollars might not be here in a year or 10 years or whatever, but like injecting some more money into the ecosystem is good news, I think, for all collectors, right? If you can't take it out, that's not a big deal for me. The optics of withdrawal being a problem and not being able, here's money you can't withdraw, like that can maybe be blurred, and maybe somebody on the marketing team is going to figure that out and they're going to change the name of it or change the use case of it. Like, we don't know. And this goes back to what everyone who is really bullish keeps saying about how early this is, right? It's literally been a couple months, like, and in the life cycle of whatever Dapper Labs and NBA Top Shot become, like, these few months are going to be such a minor blip in the whole scheme of things. And everyone likes to say, you know, we're just in the first inning or the second inning or whatever. And like, I think we're still in the locker room. Like, these guys they're still putting their uniforms on and putting their team together, right? Like, every week there's a new incredible hire, whether it's on the product side or the marketing team, you know, people from NFL and Major League Baseball, like major heavy hitters are joining this ensemble right now as they put this together. And like, they haven't started doing the work yet. You know, they've been like kind of punched in the mouth before they even showed up at the stadium and be like, holy shit, what are we going to do right now? And it just got turned into hyperdrive because of the, you know, unexpected early demand in the first months of this year. So,
Okay, sorry, Chris, go on.
yeah. So, you know, it's more about Dapper Dollars, sure, because I trust the team behind it to like make decisions and try new things like any good startup should, right? Like, whether that one thing actually works or not, whatever. Like, I don't think it's going to make or break the market, right? I like the idea of seeing what works and trying new things, and anything that can, you know, they're trying to increase supply to like let people in. They're trying to make the packs negative EV or equal, at least, to make it just a more normal marketplace. Like, they're doing things and they're doing smart things. And I wholeheartedly, it's part of the reason I invested so heavily in the beginning, just believe in the team and the future of this company and the people behind it, that, you know, they're going to do the right thing ultimately. And some of the decisions along the way might be bad, but that's you know, that's in any growing thing, individuals or entities, whatever, they're going to be things that don't work, and you just got to adjust.
I want to play devil's advocate here because I think it's also fair to judge it from the other side and kind of weigh the possibilities. We've talked a lot about how, hold long term, it's going to get better in a few years. And I'm still in that train, which I think in a few years, it's better to think about how much you can make then compared to it is now. But at what point do we start worrying about prices aren't going back on top? They're not, the market cap keeps going down. At what point do we start thinking, should we actually cut our losses?
This goes back to what I said earlier. That's an individual decision, right? It's not like hey, everyone should go and do X. Like everyone invests differently in the stock market, in real estate, in themselves, in their health, like whatever it may be. You have to look at your situation. If you are strapped for cash and you overextended yourself in February because you thought you were going to make easy money and you mistimed it, then you know what? You might have to look in the mirror and be like, hey, this is not for me right now, and I need this cash in other parts of my life. Like there's no rule here. For me personally, I am very committed, right? Like I just believe in the product and the team, as I just said. And on the next bull run, do I plan to take a little bit off the table and take back some of my initial investment? Yes, I do. Does that mean that I'm not, that my long-term view is any less? No, it's just I happen to in the last few months also be exposed to NFTs and cryptos, and like maybe I want to diversify a little more because I'm very heavy in Top Shot and not as much in Bored Apes. That's just again, that's my personal investment journey right now, and that's not the same for everybody.
Yeah. All right. Before we go to the next topic, I want all of us to answer a question here, but do it quick, maybe in one sentence. If you have $5,000 to invest right now, where would you put it in? Real quick, guys. I'll go first. I think I would use it to invest in a Series 1 moment, most likely a LeBron or a Steph, whatever star player I can get, because I think, like what we've mentioned, star players are the way to go. How about you two?
Great player, Series 1, hold. That's always been my simplest definition. And right now, you probably can get that blue chip, that Luka first moment, or Steph's his 3-pointer, not his assist. I believe you could probably get. And I wouldn't spend it all in one place. I would say get 1 or 2 if you can of those type of guys, and maybe it's a LaMelo rookie, for $1,600 along with a Zion. Not first moment, but rookie moment. There's superstars as blue chips, and then use 1,500 to 2,000 of it to maybe hold, or buy a couple of these stars in Series 2 to maybe build your bankroll for the next time, and hopefully that's in the playoffs and in a couple starting next week here, where they at least start to go up a little. Buy 5 James Hardens for $12, and if the Brooklyn Nets make a run to the Eastern Conference Finals or the Finals, there's a good chance that's going to be 18 or 22 in a month's time, and you can maybe play the game there and try to build your bankroll a little bit with a portion of it.
No, how about you said that about the LaMelo. That's actually the crown jewel of my portfolio right now because I just drew it from a pack. The first time I got my pack, that's the one I got, and now it's 1,600, something like that. So definitely happy I have that there. $5,000. Honestly, I would do a combination of what you guys are saying. Have that Series 1 superstars, but I would allocate maybe 500, $1,000 to just buying moments that you like. Because the thing is that a lot of the people that are listening, they're still looking for that quick flip. To be honest, that's what I see from their reactions. So definitely, if you can spend 20% of that and really look for the moments that for you are these real highlights, you really want them. I don't know if they're going to be great investments, but I'm happy to have them in the portfolio. Those are the things you should seek out because those are the things that are going to keep you coming back to the platform to check out, hey, I got this moment. I can show it to my friends. This is something I'm happy to have here, regardless of whether or not it's going to get me 3, 5, 10x.
All right. Now, I also want to shout out some of the guys who are commenting, guys and girls, of course, who are tuning in and commenting. Dijo, thank you, as always, for being very active. Buy 1,000 ish minutes, I think, is the best advice I've heard all year.
Yeah.
Mr. Emil, buy all the 35k CC Plumlee. I think that might just be as good as the Ishmits. Ram, buy Caleb Martin times 10. I have to admit, that might be
Oh,
even better than the Ishmit. And nah, I'm kidding
if
with you
he's
guys.
used for any challenge, then that might actually be the best strategy. But I mean, that's on you
Yeah.
if you want to make that call.
User Sim Jikai, I hope I pronounce your name correctly, has some good thoughts here in the comment
Yeah.
section. I think this is directed at Chris. So, Chris, after the stream, if you want to take the time, reach out to Sim and answer some of these queries. That might be a good idea. I'd love to get into it, but I'm not sure we have the time. Mr. Kim Chan, as someone with a marketing background, what kind of marketing do you expect to see from Dapper? I think that also kind of falls around Ram's district. So, Ram, if you want to reach out to Kim after, maybe have a conversation about Top Shot, that would work. So again, thank you to everyone commenting, tuning in. Honestly, this is part of the reason, a big reason really, why we love doing the streams. It's seeing interaction from all of you, getting your feedback, just feeling the passion that you all have for Top Shot, because ultimately this is such a big part of it, right? How it brings a community together, the excitement, the camaraderie of sorts, especially at the time where we got a virus going on. Mr. Miguel Cuevas, we love AM Asian Min. Thank you. We love all of you too. Okay, before we go, because we're pushing an hour here, quick predictions. NBA playoffs. It takes place this week. I'll plug myself a little bit. Please read some of my works for the playoffs. I'm gonna cover a number of games, write some articles. If you guys could check that out, I would appreciate it. But quick predictions, both for the Top Shot platform and the actual NBA playoffs itself. For Top Shot, what do you guys expect to see over this next few weeks as we enter the postseason? And let's go basketball here. Chris Ram, give me your predictions. Who makes the NBA Finals and who's the NBA champion?
So I'm biased because I am a diehard Lakers guy my whole life, and
Of course.
so I think we see the lowest seeded champion of all time at the 7th seed. Currently, it's the 6th seeded Rockets from 94, 95.
95, yeah.
So I think the Lakers from the 7th seed. LeBron looks healthy in the last 2 games that he came back, and the only challenge I would say is just all gelling together. Obviously, he hasn't had much time to play with. He and Anthony Davis missed 68 combined games, and Drummond just came into the fold while they were hurt. So they need to click quickly and do it on the fly. Their path to at least the conference finals doesn't seem that difficult compared to past years, I think. Even though the teams are good in the West, they're most likely going to face Phoenix in the first round after the play-in situation. And they're just too big and tough. They're just going to bully them, I think. And Phoenix had a great season, and I feel bad for them that they're going to have to probably run into the Lakers. And listen, it's possible that Golden State beats the Lakers on Wednesday night, and the Lakers have to win on Thursday, and they become the 8th seed and then play Utah in the first round, which would be, I think, more of a little bit of a daunting task for them. But I think the Lakers, when healthy and if clicking, are just a level above everybody else.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, I love it too, but I don't think most people don't like to hear that. It's just,
A Laker fan from Brooklyn. That's original.
Yeah, well, I fell in love, not to get too, I could talk about this for like another 3 hours here, but at a very young age, and I'm on the older side of the Top Shot community. I fell in love with Magic Johnson at a very, very young age. And it was during the Showtime Lakers, right? I was born in 1977. So Magic, my first experience of basketball, which I've loved since I was a kid, was the dominant Magic Lakers team. And I just loved everything about Magic Johnson. And then my dad moved to LA when I was like 5 or 6 also. So then that compounded my Magic Johnson fandom to have my dad in the middle of the Showtime Lakers. So it was an easy team to root for and fall in love with at a young age, and then an easier team to like not let go of because there's been a lot of success through the years.
So would you drop all marketing reasoning and logic if there was a Magic Johnson moment in Top Shot and it costs like a fortune?
Magic or Kobe, those are my 2 favorite.
I respect that.
Those are my 2 favorite athletes. I don't even know who's third, but one of the questions that I ask sometimes on Top Shot.
It's not LeBron.
No, it's not. He's in a. I mean, he might be third, but he's a long way off of the other two, right? One of the
For
questions
sure.
I ask on Top Shot Clock one sometimes is, what's an NBA a moment from NBA history that you really want to see on Top Shot, and like my first go to is always the Magic baby hook,
Skyhook, yeah. That's amazing. And what do you feel will happen with the Top Shot platform once the playoffs, the games are going on, and everyone's excited? Maybe we see some marketing.
I don't know. That's a simple answer. And sorry, it's not that engaging. But I don't know what their marketing plans are. Like I think we're all waiting for that, and it could happen in a week. It could happen at the beginning of next season. I really don't know. Obviously there will be a lot of excitement around the NBA, and I think more that will lead to more people finding out about Top Shot. I don't know if that means like marketing faucets turned on completely and we have 1 million more users in the next 2 months. I think that's probably on the lower range of outcomes right now. My guess is they do a little bit here and there, and then they go into next season, full blast.
Yeah. Ram, so are the Blazers going to get far this season? How's Dame going to do?
I'm hoping for it. He's really carried the team out of his sheer force of will, considering how many injuries they got. I'm really hoping for them, but actually, and I think I mentioned this in one of our other conversation snaps, I'm super excited to see the Suns. Sorry, Chris. See the Suns make it a little bit farther. It's been a Cinderella story for the season. I think no one
would be nice.
Tell me someone, right, that expected this to happen. A lot of people know that Chris Paul can really take a team that's kind of middling, and then take them to that next level. But I don't think anyone thought that they could get to this level. I think it's pretty insane. So if they can make it all the way to not even like the win the title, but if they can make it to the finals, that for me is a win. But honestly, you kind of convinced me, Navs. The last conversation we had, the Bucks are quietly really, really impressive, and maybe they have what it takes to take the chip.
I think it's bad for the Bucks to get who they got in the first round, though, because I think if there's one team they didn't want to face,
that might be the worst challenge, right?
It's not even the team; it's the guy. I think when you have Jimmy Butler against Giannis, like psycho Jimmy just wakes up and like something gets in his head, and like as a Heat fan, I just love it. But Ram, you and I have been discussing too with the Asian Mint, and in private, you and I, that once the playoffs roll around, it's really interesting to see what happens with Top Shot, because we saw them in the playoffs last year drop these packs, drop some challenges. I know that the Jimmy shot from the finals was a challenge reward. But this time around, they've got a bigger user base. They've got media websites like, the Asian Mint, Top Shot Today covering things. So they've got more eyes on them. The expectations are heavier. And I always feel, whether in basketball, in life, wherever, how you perform when there are more expectations, that shows a lot about your character and how strong you are. So I think really this is an important time for Top Shot, because I want to see how they do with all the criticism that's going to come in the public. The last few weeks haven't been kind in terms of public acceptance for Top Shot. Maybe they've made some decisions, good for collectors, bad for flippers, but collectors aren't happy with the price drops too. So with that said, everything in mind, all the context, everything that has taken place, what do you think would be a successful playoff season for Top Shot?
How you phrase that is the worst way for me to try to address that. Because if you ask me what's gonna happen, I would say that what's gonna happen is that more people will be pissed off, and the reason for that is this: when playoffs roll around, and I already mentioned that they're probably gonna have some level of marketing, right? How difficult is it of a decision for Roham and the rest of the team to decide we have an additional, let's say really, really good, an additional 500,000 users. And then you have these pack drops, which you wanted them to be rare playoff packs. But then you know that you have to somehow placate all of these new users, and having this rare pack show up and them not being eligible for it, how does that look to them? And that is my biggest concern, because they're going to have to be faced with that decision of, do we make this really accessible so that the first impression of these new users become so positive that they'll stay on the platform long term at the risk of alienating the people who were there months in advance? Or do they take that other route and they're going to say, hey, you know what? If you were a collector
Mm.
earlier on, this is what happens. So maybe over the off season, you start collecting your moments so that by the time the next season rolls around, you might have that collector score up. And that is the
Mm.
big difficulty. What's a success for them? Some of the metrics might be the number of users added, maybe it's the sales increasing, and that's probably fair to say. If I was running the business, I'm looking at that user count, revenue, those are the important things. But in terms of long term growth, I don't know what's going to be a better strategy. Because if you're going to alienate what's it, we probably have 300,000 real users on the platform who are in it to buy and sell. I don't know if you want to alienate them, but at the same time, I don't know if you want to have all these users coming in and they have this impression where, oh, only the rich people can really get these rare packs. So it's
Right.
very difficult decision for Dapper team. I'm hoping that obviously I have a vested interest. I want them to only make it accessible to people who were there earlier on. But if they took the other route, I honestly can't blame them.
For sure. And I think what happens after the playoffs is worth monitoring too, because you're gonna have the off season and it's not gonna be a short off season like it was this past season, right? You're gonna have the draft though, you're gonna have free agency, you're gonna have summer league, you're gonna have trades happen in the off season. So I'm curious how all of these non basketball related transactions that take place, how that's gonna affect the moments you have. So for instance, Kawhi Leonard is a possible free agent after the season. Now let's say the Clippers choke again, which given their history is entirely possible, and I'm sure Chris would agree with me as a Lakers fan. So let's say the Clippers choke, like Luca goes supernova, eliminates them in the first round, or let's say the Lakers just whoop their ass. Will Kawhi leave? And if Kawhi leaves, let's say he goes to Miami, of course, I'm gonna say Miami, but let's say Kawhi leaves, goes to another team, does that make his Clippers moments go up the roof? Right? Let's say you got Kyle Lowry. You got Kyle Lowry's metallic gold moment, and he leaves Toronto. He goes to Philadelphia or New York or the Lakers. What happens to the moments too? So I like the fact that even after the playoffs, we have some things that we can monitor and watch out for and possibly take notes for.
And also, I think summertime Top Shot's going to release like the run it back set, which will get
Mm-hmm.
people incredibly excited to have the first Shaq moment and the first AI moment in the in the market. So
Right.
they'll do things to get people excited in the off season, but they're not back to what you were saying. They're not going to. There's no way to please everyone
Yeah.
at the same time here, right? You're going to have to kind of pick your spots. And yeah, like newcomers coming in, if they can't get the rare pack, ideally your thought is, hey, that makes them want to collect
Yeah.
more, right? Like I want to be in this next level group, so I have a chance at that next rare pack, next playoffs, whatever it may be. That's the glass half full, optimistic view of the newcomers. Yeah, but the real answer is we really don't know. We don't know how this is so fresh and new in a brand new market, and they're figuring it out just as the Dapper team who's creating this and trying to make it into this 100-year project. They're figuring it out just like we're figuring it out as investors and collectors. So all of it is TBD. But the thing is, it comes back to the original thought here. Like if you believe in the product long term and you believe in the team long term, then you gotta trust the process, as some of us basketball fans are familiar with that term.
Yeah. Sam Hinkie knew.
Yeah,
All right.
that's been
Yeah.
good. Like I believe in them, whether it happens next week or next year, it's going to happen.
All right. So before we call it a night for us and we get Chris to start his day, Chris, is there anything you want to plug? Something you've got coming up? Some videos you've got releasing? Floor is yours, my friend.
I had this amazing guest coming on the next episode of Top Shot Shot Clock, and that can be found on our YouTube channel at Top Shot Today. But you can go to topshottoday.com daily. There's going to be all the tweets that are important, and any articles or videos or podcasts that are that relevant, and are there's a lot of great content creators in this space, and we're just trying to, be a pass first point guard and feature them all as much as we can. So yeah, topshottoday.com, and you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at topshottoday. But that Top Shot shot clock featuring our guy Naveen here is probably going to be up by tomorrow. So look out for that.
Yeah, look out for that, guys. All right, Ram, thank you for joining us. Chris, thank you for joining us too. This was so fun. Originally, we planned for like 50 minutes to 60 minutes, but we went to 75 because it's great insight, and I'm sure the commenters love what you had to say, Chris. And before we close the video, I just want to say that if any of you have any other questions you want to ask Ram or Chris or maybe even me, feel free to reach out to the Asian Mint social channels or Top Shot Today. Just send us a message what you want to know. We'll try our best to answer the questions to the best of our abilities. Again, we are not giving financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. It's your money, so invest what you're willing to lose or what you're okay with investing. But let's try to help each other along the way. Who knows? You might learn a few tricks and tips. And I really hope that those of you who watched the video tonight, that's exactly what you got out of it, and you tune in some more to our future videos.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Chris.
Chris.
Thank you, Ram. Peace out, guys. Have a good one. Oh, before I call it quits, remember, do not flip, hold long term, and wear your face masks, everybody. Peace out.